Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with 5 RPGs so far in 2019 that you should give a chance. Yes, the news drought has become this abysmal. We're doing list videos. Yeah, it's like December all over again. Okay, anyway, what I want to do in this video is point out some popular and not so popular RPGs as an RPG channel that maybe you should give a look that some audiences out there may be overlooking. So let's get started with a real underrated selection, one that some major game critics did not like, some did like, a lot of influencers gave a good rating for, but overall came and went, which is Outward. Outward is a survival open world RPG, but don't let the survival term scare you. It's designed to be a little bit more difficult, but keep in mind that this is a game you can play cooperatively, whether it's online or offline. Now, the biggest complaint with this game really is its combat system. It feels clunky, sometimes there's issue with cameras, and some have argued that the characters are stale, but it's also an incredibly divisive game where some have argued the complete opposite. They love the combat system, they love the characters, and when it comes to these types of B-tier RPGs, which mind you, this one was created by 10 people, so I think you can have a little more leniency with it. This is absolutely a game you pick up on a sale, like the Steam Summer Sale. It's currently available for $23. So I'd say that's a good deal for a open world RPG you can play online or on the couch with a friend or a loved one and enjoy a whole role-playing experience. Choice and consequence, building out a character, surviving day and night. It's really flown under the radar and one that you should definitely give a look if you're trying to scratch that itch, because we don't see too often these online RPGs. Now let's get into one that's a little more popular. We're gonna try to go back and forth, not so popular, then popular, and hop into The Division 2. I was quite surprised by this game because it's a live service title done right. And yes, it's not the RPGs I typically cover on the channel, which are more oriented on story, choice and consequence, those types of actual role playing. This is more so decking out your character with the right loot, grinding, getting the right abilities, upgrading those. But I will say, The Division 2 caught me off guard. It was a really well-realized world. I thought that the shooting galleries that were contained in this game were great. I thought the pacing that loot was given to you was fantastic, easily the best, and it didn't string me out trying to have me pay extra money for anything. I thought the microtransactions were easily ignorable. They really weren't intrusive at all. They were ugly too, so that made it a little bit easier for me. But overall, Ubisoft proved that you can launch a live service game and do it right day one with The Division 2. Admittedly, when I finished the game at the 30-hour mark and the whole map repopulated with brand new objectives to take on, I had passed and decided, that's it, my time is done. But I enjoyed the time I played in it, and it was once again another great co-op experience. I understand once more, it is not your typical RPG you see on my channel, but there are some role-playing elements in the terms of kitting out your character, acquiring loot, shooting enemies, and having that rinse and repeat sort of formula. But trust me when I say, the shooting galleries in this game are fantastic. Easily some of the best I've seen this year. Really enjoyable, always keeping it spiced up, and it is also a surprisingly difficult game. Maybe I'm just not as good as I used to, but I did go down a decent amount. Enemies are not afraid to spray and pray here, so just keep that in mind when you're hopping in with a couple of buddies. Number 3 is back to the underrated, under-discussed side of things, which is Felseal Arbiter's Mark. Now, I heard about this game through word of mouth, and this is a title that is very much inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics, a genre of games that's long been forgotten. You don't see these style of strategy games all too often. I think maybe in a sense the closest we got because of the job system was Octopath Traveler, but we're seeing a renaissance of JRPGs, both old and new. We're seeing different directions, like for example in the Tales of series, but we're also seeing fresh takes on old formulas, or rather loyal takes on old formulas in the case of Felseal here. And I can't recommend this one enough because I've heard it's gritty, it's super tough, there's a lot of choices to make. It's very much inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics, and I know a lot of people have been looking for that style of game because no one's really making that type. So if there has been that demand for it from you because there's not many developers out there satiating that taste, just know there actually is a game sitting there right under your nose. That's the crazy part about the games industry, right? Because you have all these games coming out constantly that you miss even really cool releases. Anyway, moving on down the list, this one isn't as popular, and it may require you to boot up your Nintendo 3DS. Sorry, there's no sales for this one, but we're talking about Persona Q2. Yes, I'm actually going to go there. Persona is one of the best role-playing game series ever, hands down, bar none. And while this isn't the mainline Persona series, I'd be remiss if I did not put this game on a list. We're talking about the best RPGs to come out so far as of the date I record this, which is June 27th. So ladies and gentlemen, do know that Persona Q2 has a fantastic soundtrack like every Persona game. It has a lot of fan service like every Persona game, but the special part about Q2 is that it's crossing all the Persona games. So in the main series, where you have 3, 4, 5, the most popular ones, you can start at any point and you don't have to know the previous games to understand the further ones, which is really good. In the case of Q2 though, it does lean a little bit more on your experience with the mainline series, because you're gonna see the cast from 3, 4, and 5 in Q2. And it's actually surprising that this game exists, because Q1, we'll call it, came out and didn't really set the world on fire. It was a solid dungeon crawling game, and it was also surprisingly difficult. So to see Q2 happen and include the entirety of the cast is great. Now, mind you, it does not have the English voice actors, which I kind of get because they get some big names for every Persona game, like Matt Mercer, Laura Bailey. We also have Troy Baker. You know, the list goes on with these top tier big voice actors that work on an individual experience when you focus on one game, but when it comes to combining all of them for one title, that probably won't sell crazy well. You understand why they cut them out. So that's totally fine. And last on the list, back to the more popular side of things, is Kingdom Hearts 3. This is one that's gonna be a little controversial. I get it, because Kingdom Hearts 3 was stupidly easy. It still has that very silly narrative that, even though I have always enjoyed it growing up, I have to be at least somewhat critical about. But admittedly, it's the one title that by the end, I actually had tears rolling down my face. That's only happened a handful of times. Games don't tend to move me in that direction. I think part of it was some nostalgic bias. There was just a culmination of so many games actually coming to fruition here at this very moment. But also, Kingdom Hearts 3, while it has moments in the game that are dated, it also has moments that are quite strong, very strong in fact, and I think that are worth playing. It has top tier animation, particle effects, the combat is fun, and especially if you play on the higher difficulties, it actually will crush you, which is kind of ironic given the initial state the game had launched in. But Kingdom Hearts 3 is the best-selling game of 2019 so far. I think that's mainly because of its Disney tie-in, but also it's got a charm to it, man. It's cutesy, it's fun, and you guys should definitely give it a chance if you have not to yet, because there's just something nice about it. And if you're not interested in 3, which by the way, if you're a newcomer, you shouldn't be, stay away. Go back to the HD remix. There's 1.5 and 2.5, which compiles all of the games together, and you can enjoy the series that way. My personal favorite of the entire Kingdom Hearts series is Kingdom Hearts 2, so if you want something to go off of with that, start there. But Kingdom Hearts 3 was a worthy adventure. I think after all the years, I just feel it wasn't gonna live up to the hype no matter what. And personally, I've experienced this with Fallout 4, right? I saw a game that was anticipated from about 2013/14 till years and years onward, and then it came out in 2015, and it didn't really light the world on fire. It was a really good game in my opinion, but it wasn't the absolutely incredible spectacle that people wanted. And the same thing kind of happened with Kingdom Hearts 3, although I don't think it let down as many people, and the sales kind of speak for themselves. But it'll be interesting to see long-winded critiques of that game as time goes on. Maybe this part of my commentary won't age as well. But anyway, Kingdom Hearts 3 is definitely one, or at least the Kingdom Hearts series. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are 5 RPGs so far in 2019, because we have a lot more in the second half, like The Outer Worlds, for example. Can't wait for that. But these are ones that I feel you should give a chance. Most notably are Outward, Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark, and Persona Q2. Those are the most underrated ones on this list, but I did want to pepper in 2 of the more popular titles this year for those who are maybe sitting on the fence with it, wondering if they should actually give them a rip or not. They both are selling well for good reason, okay? I understand Kingdom Hearts 3 might be a little iffy for folks, but yes, The Division 2, at least I can confidently say, is a solid game. So that'll do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, a little list video here in the middle of the summer. Hopefully things start to pick up over time, or else we're gonna be struggling out here. Anyway, thank you all so much for giving me your time today. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to leave your feedback on maybe some other RPGs that I didn't mention. You know, the Switch is releasing tons of new games and ports every day. I tried to bring out new games rather than ports, but anyway, we have a ton coming to the Switch. There's plenty more to come. I'd love to hear your thoughts though in the comments down below, so do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.